I'm Jim Lehrer. The big telephone merger, a tailhook update, and the story of a kidnapped victim. Tonight on the MacNeil-Lehrer NewsHour.
Good evening. I'm Robert MacNeil in New York.
And I'm Jim Lehrer in Washington. After our summary of the news this Wednesday, we get four views of the giant AT&T McCall telephone merger. Our reporter updates the Navy's tailhook investigation, and we have excerpts from the news conference of a kidnapped victim who survived.
Major funding for the MacNeil-Lehrer NewsHour has been provided by PepsiCo. PepsiCo. And by the Archer Daniels Midland Company. ADM, supermarket to the world. And by New York Life, yet another example of New York Life's wise investment philosophy. And by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and by the annual financial support from viewers like you.
The State Department today placed Sudan on the list of nations which sponsor terrorism. It makes the East African country ineligible for all U.S. aid money except humanitarian assistance and severs the few trade links that exist between the two countries. State Department spokesman Mike McCurry explained the decision.
The evidence currently available indicates that Sudan allows the use of its territory as sanctuary for terrorists, including the Abu Nidal organization and members of Hezbollah and Palestine Islamic Jihad. We also believe safe houses and other facilities used to support radical groups are allowed to exist in Sudan with the apparent approval of the Sudanese government's leadership. Further, we believe that reports of training in Sudan of militant extremists that commit acts of terrorism in neighboring countries are credible. The United States, both in Khartoum and in Washington, have been in frequent communication with the government of Sudan for well over a year. The government of Sudan has failed to date to respond positively to our concerns.
Sudan's military ruler denied the charges. Lieutenant General Omar Hassan el-Bashir said the State Department report lacked evidence and was based on U.S. bias against Islam. He said Sudan would reject $50 million in famine relief from the United States because it would allow U.S. spies to infiltrate his country. Sudan is the seventh country on the U.S. list of terrorist states. The others are Iran, Iraq, Libya, Syria, North Korea, and Cuba. Robin?
4 people were killed and 15 wounded today in an attempt on the life of Egypt's interior minister. The attack took place in downtown Cairo, where assailants set off a bomb and opened fire on the minister's motorcade. It was believed to be the work of Islamic radicals seeking the overthrow of Egypt's secular government. We have a report narrated by David Simmons of Worldwide Television News.
Pandemonium struck after the bomb blast rocked the city centre. Many of the victims were passers-by going about their daily business. But the attack was aimed at Hassan el-Alfi, the newly promoted interior minister in charge of national security. The dead and wounded were rushed to hospitals in Cairo. Doctors performed emergency surgery on el-Alfi, who's only just recovered from a gallbladder operation in London. As Minister for Police, el-Alfi has many enemies. The attack is thought to be the work of radical Muslims who want to turn Egypt into a hardline Islamic state. Many Egyptians are wondering exactly what will happen next. In the 18 months since the terror campaign started, hundreds of people have been killed by militant bombs. The loyalties of ordinary citizens are deeply divided. Civilian courts have repeatedly thrown out prosecution claims accusing police of torturing suspects. For the government, the latest outrage is a massive blow. Many believed it was winning the war against extremism. From his hospital bed, a defiant el-Alfi denounced the outrage, but the attack demonstrates the government remains vulnerable to fundamentalist violence.
The radical Egyptian cleric Sheikh Omar Rahman may accept deportation from the United States. A lawyer for the sheikh said today he would leave voluntarily if allowed to go to Afghanistan. Followers of the blind cleric have been charged in the February bombing of the World Trade Center and in the alleged plot to bomb other New York City landmarks. His deportation was ordered because he allegedly lied on immigration papers. His appeal of that order was rejected on Monday by a federal judge.
The Israeli Supreme Court rejected a new trial for John Demjanjuk today. The judge delayed the accused war criminal's deportation until Friday, pending another appeal by Holocaust survivors. Last month, the court acquitted the retired Ohio auto worker of being the Treblinka death camp guard known as Ivan the Terrible, but it found evidence he served as a guard at other camps. Demjanjuk is seeking to return to the United States. The Justice Department is opposing that. Serbs, Croats, and Muslims agreed today in Geneva to put the Bosnian capital of Sarajevo under UN administration for up to 2 years. The UN would take control once the three warring parties reach an overall peace settlement.